is Tessie's progress from when she was first evaluated last summer to January. And I just thought it would be interesting to go through the report and read it to you basically. And I haven't actually read this whole thing yet. I read the beginning of it, but then I think I had to go pick up the kids from school, and so I didn't get to finish reading it. Tessie has made a lot of progress just in the way she engages with us. She wants to be around us now. She is a lot more interactive. She is really, really cuddly. She seeks out human interaction more than she did a year ago at this time. Let's see what the report from her school says. Mary Therese is a 2-year, 7-month girl with a diagnosis of autism spectrum disorder, ASD. She came to the Institute on 7/27/18 for a screening to determine eligibility into the program. Mary Therese lives at home with her father, Paul, her mother, Cami, and is the youngest of 5 children in the home. By the way, if you didn't know, Tessie's full name is Mary Therese. It's actually Mary Therese Philomena. She has a very long name. The Verbal Behavioral Milestones Assessment and Placement Program, VB-MAPP, was completed. The VB-MAPP is an assessment that contains 170 measurable learning and language milestones that are sequenced across 3 developmental levels. Level 1 includes skills that typically developing children demonstrate by 18 months. Level 2 are skills observed by 30 months, and level 3 are skills observed by 48 months. And actually, I'm going to stop here really quick. This is interesting because I was talking to her speech therapist last week, and she was talking about how Tessie isn't typical of the kids that she sees. That when she's assessing Tessie, for some things she is level 1, and for other things she's level 3, and she can't do the level 1 things that are supposed to come up before the level 3 things that she could do. So she's doing some things that are supposed to be for a 48-month-old that are above her age level, while she can't do something that she's supposed to do by 18 months. So anyways, I'll keep reading. The VB-MAPP is broken down into 3 components: the milestones assessment, the barriers assessment, and the transitions assessment. The skills assessed in the milestones component include language skills, for example, requesting, labeling, conversational skills, play, social imitation, matching to sample, and group skills. The barriers assessment provide an assessment of 24 common learning and language acquisition barriers faced by children with autism or other developmental disabilities. By identifying these barriers, clinicians can develop specific intervention strategies to help overcome these problems, which can lead to more effective learning. The last component is the transitions assessment, which contains 18 assessment areas that can help identify whether a child is making meaningful progress and has acquired the skills necessary for learning in a less restrictive educational environment. And Tessie is, part of the time Tessie's in a classroom that's just with other kids who are on the spectrum, and then part of the time now she's also in a classroom with neurotypical kids. She goes to school Monday through Thursday. Milestones assessment. This is the initial screening for Tessie. The milestones assessment was completed in July 2018 at the Institute, and Mary Therese scored a 10. Mary Therese came into the assessment room and interacted with different items: a ball, a star stacker toy, spinning stacker toy, pop-up toy, a knob puzzle, but only for brief periods, less than 20 seconds per item. In between exploring toys, Mary Therese would wander about the assessment room carrying small balls in both hands. She would then move to a different toy and explore for another brief period. Mary Therese engaged in climbing onto both the table and the couch in the assessment space. She also engaged in throwing small balls, pushing an on switch on a ball popper toy, and putting rings on a stacker in order to watch them spin. Each of these actions was sustained for very brief periods of time, 10 to 15 seconds each. Mary Therese did not make eye contact as a type of man, respond to her name, or attend to the assessor's voice by making eye contact. Mary Therese did approach an observer in the assessment space and sit on her lap. She also walked up to her mother at the conclusion of the assessment when her mother greeted her. Mary Therese was able to track a moving stimuli, grasp small objects with her thumb and index finger, visually attend to a toy for 30 seconds, and place 3 rings on a peg. She did not demonstrate the ability to match identical items when presented with a variety of stimuli options, i.e. colored bears and cups, inset puzzles. She does that really well now. Sorry, jumping ahead. Mary Therese was not able to perform motor actions on command, i.e. clap your hands, but was able to imitate one motor action when prompted with "do this," when the assessor modeled clapping her hands together. Other motions Other motor actions were modeled with the direction, do this, and Mary-Therese would not attend to the assessor nor engage in an imitative response. Mary-Therese was unable to echo any sounds or words modeled by the assessor. She did spontaneously emit 5 sounds during the assessment period, i.e. s, yay, ba ba ba, da, and ga, but was not able to emit 10 different sounds. Mary-Therese was unable to request items she had a motivation for, either unprompted or when given a vocal command. Mary-Therese did not label any item spontaneously or when provided a vocal model. So they're saying she had 5 sounds, but less than 10 sounds, like babbling sounds, when she went into this, and she went into that first assessment when she was 25 months old. So now up to January 27th, 2017, and the most current assessment. At the time of the most current assessment, Mary-Therese obtained a 25.5 on her VB-MAPP milestone score. So her first one was 10, now it's 25.5. Over the past 6 months, Mary-Therese worked on gaining a variety of skills that served as prerequisites for further skill acquisition. Mary-Therese more readily engages in social interactions, indicating that she wants to be in contact with an adult or other children throughout the therapy day. She uses eye contact to gain the attention of an adult when trying to command. Mary-Therese, that means like request things. She looks at people now when she wants something. She's learned that's a very effective way to get something. And she does it with me. It's really funny. She'll come over to me and be like, because she knows that people pay attention to her when she looks at them now. And so she does it really, really intentionally. Mary-Therese has learned to sit in a chair at a table independently, and she is able to scan small arrays of objects or pictures, which was unable to do during her initial assessment. She is also beginning to imitate more readily both gross motor and fine motor movements. Each of these skills will serve to increase manding goals, listener responding goals, social goals, and visual perception match to sample in the upcoming 6 months. Mary-Therese is able to emit commands with icons across people, settings, and examples of a reinforcer. So she's able to use her PEX board. She is also able to use those icons to command with sentences, including the carrier phrase, I want. So she has her little PEX board that I've done a video on, and she takes a picture and puts it on that says I want, and then she puts the picture of what she wants, and she hands it to the person and points, I want cup, I want popcorn, not popcorn because she's too little, but I want chips, I want whatever it is she wants.
I want water. I want cup. Oh, good job.
She is also able to spontaneously admit at least 5 commands during her treatment sessions when a desired item is present. If she wants something and she knows that she's going to get a fruit snack, if she asks for something, then she will ask for it. Mary-Therese has begun to readily pronounce echoics for vowel sounds. We will continue to work on her echoics and developing her listener responding skills and tact skills once her echoic repertoire has been expanded. In addition to the skills that Mary-Therese presented in her initial assessment, she is now able to match any 10 identical items, engage with over 5 different closed-ended toys functionally and independently engage in cause and effect toy play for up to 2 minutes. And then this little paper, it's not in color so you can't really see, because before the like kind of grayish light gray that you can't really see there was what she could do, and the dark gray is what she can do now. The kind of almost black charcoal color is what she can do now. Barriers assessment. The barriers assessment was also completed in July 2018 at the Institute, and Mary-Therese scored 68. Barriers are obstacles that interfere with a student's learning. Therefore, barrier scores should decrease over time with therapy. Mary-Therese did not demonstrate any significant negative behaviors, screaming, crying, physical aggression, but was quick to walk away from her reinforcers if even a slight demand was placed on her during the assessment, like being asked to put it in here. So if she was asked to do something, she would just like walk away and not do it. Mary-Therese was not able to vocally request what she wanted and pulled people 3 times during the assessment period to materials or areas that contained items she wanted. If a verbal model was given or the assessor wanted her to make eye contact, Mary Therese would leave the area and wander the assessment room. Mary Therese avoided social interactions and would lay on the floor putting items in front of her eyes. When approached and engaged in social attention, Mary Therese would get up and go to the other side of the room. Some other barriers to learning for Mary Therese were identified as impaired echoic repertoire, impaired intraverbal repertoire, failure to make eye contact with adults, defective scanning skills, defective social skills, defective listener skills, defective imitation skills, and defective tact skills. 2 areas that were unable to be assessed due to lack of demonstrated skill was reinforcement dependence and scrolling responses. Mary Therese scores decreased in each of the following areas: manned echoic imitation and VB-MAPP by 2 points each, meaning all of the barriers in these areas have been cut in half since the beginning of the treatment year. We also saw a decrease in score for failure to generalize. Mary Therese's barrier score decreased by 5 points during the most recent assessment from a 68 to a 63. Mary These's scores decreased in each of the following areas: manned echoic imitation and VB-MAPP by 2 points each. I'm not sure what the last part is. Meaning all the barriers in these areas were cut by half, have been cut in half since the beginning of the treatment year. We also saw a decrease in score for failure to generalize. She does require formal generalization training on many skills, but generalizes simple skills quickly. Mary Therese has also become less prompt dependent since the onset of treatment. While Mary Therese shows a lack of interest in a reinforcer after a few responses are required, she does not walk away from her highly preferred reinforcers as readily as she did during the assessment. And then here's the first column is the old score, and the second column is the new score for the things, for the barriers. So you can see most of them either stayed the same or went down. And that, I think, is the entire thing. Actually, when I was talking about the failure to generalize, what we've seen at home is sometimes she really, really generalizes. So like an example of that would be, there was one night when I was making dinner and she came over and she just stood next to the door and was standing there like this. And I looked over and I was like, okay, that's cute. She was wearing this, like, her cute princess little nightgown. And then finally she sat down and she kept sitting with her little hands there. And I didn't realize that's like her ready hands for when they sit at the table at school. They have their hands like that. After she sat like that for like half an hour, she sat there for a really long time. She started going like this. And I've asked them, did they have her do like gross motor things for reinforcers? And that wasn't a thing. But she had like generalized that if she would do gross motor things, she started doing all these different things where she would like touch her head and her nose and her ears and then go like this and then look at me and expect me to give her a treat. So she came up with her own little generalization of like, she was doing her own therapy and then looking at me and expecting a reinforcer in the form of food because she was hungry. So like, Tessie, I'll just give you food. I mean, so she definitely generalizes things sometimes in an almost extreme sort of way, because I talked with all of her therapists and they were like, wow, yeah, she really, really generalized what we do at therapy, because we don't have something like that specifically that we have been working on or doing.
1 second, pup.
Barks to go out, barks to come back in. I know that therapy can be controversial, and we've been really careful about the places that we put our girls in, where they reinforce positive behaviors and just ignore negative behaviors. That has really been the method that we've seen around here, at least, of therapies in terms of eliminating negative behaviors. It's one of the reasons why it's been so hard to eliminate Maggie's eloping, because you can't really ignore eloping to eliminate it. Basically, if a behavior doesn't get attention, usually it goes away. And then you pay a lot of attention to the behaviors that you want to increase, the good behaviors. But you can't really do that with eloping. And so we don't have our girls in therapies where they decrease stims, or, I mean, you can see here with Tessie with her little, sorry, it's right here, it just happens to be right here. Tessie with like her all the little stim things that we've actually bought her, because I don't have a problem with my kids stimming or being autistic. Really, I just want them to be able to function as easily as possible in a world that isn't designed to make it easy for them to function. We've worked really hard to find 2 different centers that are the right fits for both of our girls, and we're happy with where they are right now. And they both seem really happy there too, which is really, really important for me. hear Tony's little claws running all around. Anyways, that is it for today. If you like this video, we would love it if you would give it a thumbs up. If you're interested in all things autism, we would love it if you'd hit that subscribe button, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.
Go, go, go.
She's so hilarious.
Go, go, go.
I just want
Go, go.
Okay, so she always says the same thing.
Go, go, go.
I'm sorry, Mom. I can't help it.
Tickle her.
I can't seem to lift my head straight.